Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. In today's video, we are talking about the 7th house and what it means when you have planets sitting in your 7th house. And the 7th house in astrology deals with your social sphere. And we all know it to mean this house of partnership, but in general, it is the house of your social connections, your one-on-one social connections. So it doesn't have to be just romantic, but also just any sort of partnership the 7th house does deal with. And it also deals with your appetite for enjoyment, for pleasure. So we can see when you have planets in this house, how oriented are you towards partnership? How oriented are you towards achieving the sort of pleasurable things in life? We can see that with these planets you have in your 7th house. And as always, if you don't know your chart yet or the planets in your houses, I will link down below the calculator. And also this can apply to any chart that you look at. So your Western chart, Vedic chart, whole sign chart, you can use this video to look at any chart basically. So if you have the sun sitting in your 7th house, when it comes to your own personal identity, your personal relationships can matter a lot to your identity. Whoever your friends are, your close friends, your partner, you can be someone really focused on your social connections. And whatever your social connections are, that is kind of makes you feel more complete when it comes to your identity or complete when it comes to your sense of ego. And also when it comes to your desire for pleasure and enjoyment, you might find that you really do desire pleasure. You desire enjoyable things in life. You desire to achieve certain things, to reach certain goals. There's a strong sense of wanting the great things in life with Sun in the 7th house. And a lot of times you might even achieve that through a partner, achieve status through a partner, achieve wealth through a partner. Partnership is really strong here, and so you can achieve those things that you want in life through a partner with Sun in your 7th house. If you have the moon sitting in your 7th house, you can find that you're somebody who is very emotionally connected to your partnerships. And having one-on-one partnerships, having a partner in general, can be very important to your emotional health, your emotional well-being, your mental health even. You can even find that you don't feel comfortable when you're not in a relationship. Or in the worst case scenario, this can create a sense of codependence where you feel like you need other people to feel emotionally fulfilled or need a partner. So it just depends on the placement or strength of your moon. But in general, partnerships is important to your emotional well-being and very close to how you feel emotionally when you're connecting with certain people around you or in your personal circle. And with this placement, you can also feel very desirous of the nicer things in life. You want the pleasurable things in life. You feel emotionally content when you are achieving certain goals that relate to material gain. If you have Mercury sitting in your 7th house, you can find with this placement that you're someone who is very involved in your social connections. You're someone who is very oriented towards exchange of information with people, exchange of knowledge. You can be a naturally social person depending on the placement of your Mercury and what sign. But in general, you're someone who's very intelligent, witty, and you love exchanging info with people. And when it comes to your partnerships, that can be a really strong pillar or foundation in your partnerships is the ability to exchange ideas, the ability to have a conversation, have that mental stimulation in your partnerships is really strong with Mercury in your 7th. And you're someone who can be really great at just navigating social dynamics, talking with anyone, being talkative, being sort of like the social butterfly. Again, it matters the sign that your Mercury's in, but in general, it creates a really great placement of someone who's great at social interface or things like that. If you have Venus sitting in your 7th house, you can find with this placement that when it comes to your partnerships, when it comes to your desire for the great things in life, this almost always obviously indicates this desire for partnerships, this desire for pleasurable things, for enjoyment. You're someone who can be very much oriented towards partnerships, find a lot of pleasure there, find value there. You put a lot of effort into your partnerships. Maybe you're someone who I can imagine is like a stereotypical romantic person. You love romance, you love just partnerships in general, and especially romantic relationships. And you might even find that that's kind of like a pillar in your personal relationships is like, can we enjoy things together? Can we do luxurious things together? Money might come into play here as well, or gift giving, things like that is really strong here in your partnerships, with Venus being in your 7th house. And with Mars being in your 7th house, you can find with this placement that you're someone who feels very desirous in general, someone who wants the great things in life. You want pleasures, you want to achieve your goals. This can create a very ambitious energy. However, when it comes to partnerships, it does create potentially a little bit of conflict. Mars is a natural malefic energy. It's not very oriented towards partnership. Partnership is the Venus planet. So when you put this kind of solitary energy of Mars in the 7th, it can create this theme of needing independence in your partnership. Maybe you need solitude in your partnerships. Maybe you're not the type to be so codependent or so up under someone else, but you need that sense of being autonomous with your partners. And overall, you can be independent in general, be very desirous, and you want the great things in life. Maybe you're ambitious, but in partnerships, it can create a little bit of conflict or needing space, needing a little bit of independence, and not necessarily being so close to someone, but of course, being independent as well. If you have Saturn sitting in your 7th house, you can find that when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to especially business partnerships, I will say specifically for Saturn in the 7th, this is really strong for business partnerships, strong for entrepreneurship, for example. Saturn here is surprisingly not that bad. I feel like Saturn gets a bad rap, but Saturn is exalted in Libra, and the 7th house is the natural house of Libra, so Saturn does well here when it comes to partnerships. It can give a delay with partnerships, but once you get into the swing of it, overcome those obstacles, you do form really close long-term bonds with people. And when it comes to the bonds with people and bonds with your partner, you can find that one of the fundamental building blocks in your partnership is practicality, is maybe work, having like a work partnership, having maybe even sort of a sense of solitude or distance with your partner, not being so close romantically, but having that sense of, okay, here's my thing going on, here's my purpose, here's yours, we're doing it together, but not necessarily being so clingy. So this is great for like professional partnerships, business partnerships, romantic partnerships. It can create more distance, but I think independence is more so needed in this sort of romantic partnership. But in general, it does create a strong ability for business acumen. And if you have Jupiter sitting in your 7th house, you can find with this placement that you're somebody with an expansive social circle. Even being someone who's friends with people from different cultures, different countries, having a wide social circle. And this can give a foreign spouse as well. And when it comes to your desire in life for the great things, your desire to achieve your goals, with this 7th house energy and Jupiter combined, you can find that you are goal-oriented, you have a vision for your life, you want to achieve certain status, and especially when it comes to your network circles, you can achieve what you want through that. Through your partnerships, through your close relationships, you can have an overall good social image and gain a lot through that. And if you have Rahu sitting in your 7th house, this can create a strong desire or strong need for partnerships. Some people would even say an obsession, but it really depends on the planets you have in this house. But ultimately, it can create a little bit of turbulence in your partnerships, a little bit of erratic energy, erratic themes, because Rahu is naturally that way. But it can create a strong desire to have a bond with someone. It can create attracting a spouse that is really important, dating famous people, for example. And since you have Ketu in the 1st house, maybe you have that certain detachment with your own identity, but you find a lot of identity in whoever you partner with. So that's going to be a strong theme in your whole life since you have Rahu and Ketu in your 7th house, 1st house axis. But in general, for this video, it can create a strong focus or desire for partnership. If you have Ketu sitting in your 7th house, you can be someone who finds that you attract friends easily or attract partnership easily. It can manifest so many ways with Ketu being in your 7th, but since Ketu is like your past life talents, you can find that having partnerships isn't too hard for you. Maybe you don't focus too much on it. It's something that can happen quite easily for you. Or the other manifestation is that you feel really detached in partnerships. you never feel really quite that close to people, especially if Ketu's just sitting here in the 7th by itself. Closeness can be a theme where it just doesn't exist as much if you had like Venus here, for example. But that sense of detachment is strong as well with Ketu in the 7th, but in general you do attract people to you easily, but that sense of closeness can be kind of lost with Ketu being in the 7th.